Bree with 6 Hearts on 6 Acres. Welcome back. So glad you're here. Today is the day that I've been waiting for all winter long. It's my favorite day of the year, and it is tomato starting day. I push this day back a little bit every single year since I started starting my garden by seed. I think my first year doing this, I started like 12 weeks before my last frost. And then I moved it up to 10 weeks, and here we are now 6 weeks before our last frost, and I am going to start my tomato seeds today. Tomatoes grow so stinking fast once you have them in your grow room, and in years past, I have ended up with trees. I am really trying to avoid that this year by starting them only 6 weeks before my last frost. So probably, depending on our weather, like 7 to 8 weeks before they'll go out into the garden. But I'm going to go ahead and get them started today and let you join along with me. The first thing I'm going to do is I have my trays here. I have some seed starting mix that I already have wet. I just ran this bag underwater because I feel like I'm probably going to use most of it. I have a lot of seeds to start today. So it is moist. Remember, you don't want to start your seeds into a dry soil. I'm going to fill these trays up. You can see my soil is wet enough that it clumps together, but nothing, well, very little water comes out when I give it a squeeze. So I'm just going to fill up each of these cells. And we're going to start a lot of tomato seeds today. I tried really hard to narrow down my selection. I have a really big variety of tomato seeds because they are my favorite plant to grow in the garden. And I've tried super hard to narrow down what I'm planting, and I think I'm still around 80 varieties. So I just decided that's what I'm going to go with, and I'm just going to try my hardest to make it fit. I am growing for myself, a neighbor friend, and my parents. And so I will grow a few of each of these varieties, and hopefully have some really great healthy plants to put into the garden in about 7 weeks. I am doing this in my dining room because we have some nasty weather going on outside today. We were, according to our weather channel, expecting, they called it gorilla-sized hail, whatever that means, but it was supposed to be like baseball-sized hail. So I had my fingers crossed and I was praying that we did not get that because I already have my cabbage and my broccoli in the garden and my onions, and I did not want them to get destroyed. We did get some hail, but luckily so far all we've gotten was like pea size or smaller. That shouldn't have done any damage at all. So I'm hoping that that is all we get. We are not out of the clear yet. We still have some weather coming tonight. But I am just praying that we don't get any of that larger hail here. Kind of hit a dry pocket in the bag of soil, so I will still need to wet these again before I plant my seeds into them. Seed starting mix doesn't have any dirt in it, and it's so dry when it's in those packages that it's hydrophobic, which means it does not attract water, so it tends to stay dry and take a long time to absorb any water, which is why I have these pockets of just dry seed starting mix. But that is okay. We will just get it wet before we plant into it. you see me kind of pushing down into my cells and compacting that soil. I'm not making it super firm. I just want to make sure that I have soil all the way through the cell and that there's no air pockets in there. That way, when your roots start growing, they have soil all the way around to get the healthy roots that they need. I have been starting my garden from seed and my tomatoes from seed for probably, I don't know, probably like 4 years. And I've been doing it really successfully for 3 years. The first year was very much a learning year. So if you have one of those where you try and start your seeds and things don't turn out very well and you have to go purchase, do not give up. Do not get down on yourself, because there is a little bit of learning that goes along with this. But once you get it figured out, it is not hard at all. And it's so rewarding to grow from seed and see. It's always so incredible to me how you can put this tiny little seed into this soil and you get, I don't know, 100 tomatoes. I don't even know how many tomatoes you get from each plant, but you get so much fruit, so many pounds of fruit from each plant, and it all started from that one seed. And I will never cease to be amazed by that fact. And it's really neat to be able to watch that process yourself, from seed all the way to harvesting those fruits. Another reason I like to start from seed is because I love to be able to plant unique varieties that they don't sell at like my local nurseries or big box stores. My garden is obviously to feed my family. I have 4 kids and a husband, but it's also just a thing of beauty and somewhere I go to fill my day with joy. And I don't want only red tomatoes that look like the ones I could buy at the store. I want blue tomatoes and purple tomatoes and yellow tomatoes and orange tomatoes and striped tomatoes and just all of the colors. And the way to do that is to start your plants from seed. You just have a lot more control of what you're going to get in the end. And so that is how I do it. I am definitely not against purchasing from a store though. And I still even do that occasionally. Last year, a lot of my tomatoes were accidentally sprayed. We're surrounded by farmers and they have to treat their fields a lot of times with chemicals. And I don't know if there's some overspray or some drift, but a big section of my tomatoes were sprayed with herbicide and they were poisoned. And so I did end up having to go to our local big box store last year and purchase a ton of replacement tomatoes. And so I was very thankful that I had that option. Luckily, my tomatoes that I started from seed pulled out of it and I had a great tomato harvest anyways. But I am not opposed to using those stores if you don't have the space to grow on your own. If you need a replacement, or if you really just don't love the seed starting process, like, go buy your plants from the store, no big deal. So like I said, I really did try and narrow these varieties down, and I still have a whole lot of tomatoes here to plant. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am not going to walk you through every single variety here because that would be monotonous and it would take a really long time. I will list them below in the description of everything I am planting. I'm doing a mixture of determinants, indeterminates, cherries, all different colors, slicing tomatoes, canning tomatoes, sauce tomatoes, just a really big variety here. And I cannot wait to get these growing and get these in the ground in my garden and harvest them. They are my very favorite part of the garden and my favorite thing to preserve. So, and I'm dropping them. I have tomatoes from several different vendors here. I have a lot from M.I. Gardener. I have a lot from Baker Creek. I have a few from the Alliance of Native Seed Keepers. I have some that were sent to me from Seed Swaps. I think that might be it. Oh, But I'm going to go ahead and get these started. And oh, no, that wasn't it. I also have some from Pine Tree Garden Seeds as well. I'm going to go ahead and get these started. I have my labels here so I can label each one and try and keep track of what I am growing. Like I've told you before, I am not the most organized person, and sometimes my plants happen to lose their labels, but I do really try. And then once I throw them in the garden, I use a label system that I came up with last year with zip ties, and that worked really well. So we will keep them labeled in these seed trays, and then keep that label with them as I uppot them, and then once they're in the garden, they will have a zip tie as a label, and that worked really well last year. So hopefully it'll work again for me this year. Tomatoes are a really small seed, so you do not want to make a deep hole for them at all. I'm kind of just pushing some soil aside and not making an actual hole. To put 2 seeds in each space, and I'm going to do 2 spaces of each variety. If I have 100% germination, which usually I do have really great germination, then I'll get 4 plants, and I'll have 2 for my garden of each variety, and 1 for my parents and 1 for my neighbor. So I'm not sure that I actually want 2 of every single variety, so I may have some to give away to friends and family when I'm done, but I want to make sure and have enough that if something happens and I lose a few plants, that I have backup. So I'm going to hopefully have 4 plants of each variety, and I'm going to go from there. I am not going to cover these seeds up until I am finished planting this tray, because it helps me keep a track of what cell I'm in. It's very easy if you cover them to forget what cell you're in, and then you double seed your trays. Or if you have a brain like mine, you do. I literally already double seeded some of mine, even though that's what I'm saying. My brain is terrible. Gosh darn it. So I know those are Juliet. I'm just going to take, I guess, so this is my only one that's going to be double seeded. I'm just going to leave those, and that will be a surprise whether I'm getting the Opalka or Juliet. As I continue seeding this tray, I'm going to talk to you about how to have really successful tomato plants when you start from seed. So the first thing you need to have is good seed to start with. You can purchase that from lots of different companies. I've already told you where mine are from, mostly from Baker's Creek and M.I. Gardner. I have a few others from a few different brands, but those 2 I would definitely say are my favorite and who the majority of my seeds are from. If you want to save your own seeds, that works just as well too. You want to save seeds though from heirloom varieties of tomatoes, not hybrid varieties, because hybrid varieties you will still get a tomato if you save the seed from, but you're not probably going to grow the same plant from that matches that parent tomato. because hybrids are a cross of two different tomatoes, so you might get the other cross. You also need a good seed starting mix, something that doesn't have a lot of chunks of wood and just pieces of compost in there that's not fully broken down yet. That way your roots can grow throughout the entire cell and really have good, strong, healthy root growth. The next thing you need is good lights to grow inside, whether that be a sunny window or an LED light system like I have. You need strong lights to grow healthy plants that aren't leggy. You also need something for airflow. I use a fan in my basement, and that simulates the wind for your plants, and it helps them to grow a really strong stem that's going to stand up to the wind once it moves outside into your garden. You will need bigger pots. So you start in something small, but you're going to need to up pot these once they have true leaves and a healthy root system. I'm going to move from these into 3-inch trays, and you bury your entire plant all the way up to the first true leaves, and that's going to help it grow like a really healthy, great root system, because tomatoes can grow roots up and down their entire stem. At that point, once I have transplanted into a bigger pot, I like to start fertilizing about every other week with a diluted fish fertilizer. I use the Alaska fish fertilizer. I just got it at Walmart, but I've been using it for a few years now, and it works really well. And that is it. I mean, you need seed starting mix, you're going to need potting soil, you need lights, a fan, and fish fertilizer, and you can start as many tomatoes as you would like. I mean, if you think each tomato plant at Lowe's is $5, and I am starting 272 packs right here, so what's 144 times 5, whatever the math on that is, I'm not even going to try and figure it out. Several $100s with very little input into it. So it's a great way to save money. That's not the only reason I do it. I do it mostly because I like to have a large variety of tomatoes that I can't purchase from the stores. And you will see here when I'm finished, I'll show you what varieties I planted, but I have 72 different varieties in these trays. I narrowed it down a little bit so I wouldn't have to get another tray out. So I ended up with 72, and I am super excited about that. But I'm going to go ahead and finish seeding these out, and then I will take these down to my grow station, and I will show you from there. All right, I have all the tomatoes fully planted out. Let me turn you around, and I will show you what we are going to be growing this year. All of these, that is 272 cell trays. We are growing Opalka, Juliet, Cassidy's Folly, Sunrise Sauce, Marglobe, Bread and Salt, German Pink, Moneymaker, Rose de Baron, Floridade, Speckled Beach, Pink Berkeley, Sheboygan, Rose, German Johnson, Abe Lincoln, Watermelon Beefsteak, Arkansas Traveler, Granny Canchels, Boxcar Willie, Black Seaman, Old German, Ananas Noir, Alice's Dream, Lucky Tiger, Gold Medal, Moonglow, Wapsipinicon Peach, Malibu Pineapple, Kellogg's Breakfast, Dr. Witchy, Thornburn Terracotta, Orange Accordion, Golden King of Siberia, Thornburn Lemon Blush, Hillbilly, Principe Borghese, Kentucky Beefsteak, Mushroom Basket, Black from Tula, Blue Beauty, Sartre-Roy's, Paul Robeson, Queen of the Night, Carbon, Purple Calabash, Black Crim, Evil Olive, Berries Crazy Cherry, Rosella, Sunrise Bumblebee, Purple Bumblebee, Buratino, Sweetheart Cherries, Black Strawberry, Cascade Village Blue, Sun Gold, Indigo Cherry, Banana Legs, Great White, Amana, Azoichka, Jubilee, Tigerella, Vintage Wine, Castelluto de Parma, Amish Paste, Hungarian Heart, and San Marzano. That is quite the list, and I am going to go ahead and move these to the basement and get them growing. All right, these trays are now on my grow station. They have a heat mat underneath them to keep them warm. This will raise my basement temperature about 10 to 15 degrees, which will help the tomatoes germinate a lot faster. And they have a dome on them. That's going to keep that soil moist so that the seeds have the right condition to germinate in. They have been well watered, and we will check back probably in about a week, and I will show you how much they have grown in that time. They should pretty much be all up, I think, by then. I'm going to give you an update since we're down here on the other seeds that are in the seed starting station real quick. These are my marigolds. They are looking excellent. There are two of them. That one and this one that look pretty pitiful. I'm not really sure why they haven't gotten dry or anything. So I'm just going to keep a close eye on those and make sure that they don't get any worse looking. This tray has, these are baby basils and some flowers and some other varieties of basil and another flower. I failed and I didn't label this tray. I know these ones are a type of celosia, but these ones I'm not sure of, and these ones I'm not sure of. So once they come up and they have more true leaves, I'll be able to tell. This is my celery. And then here is a whole bunch of peppers that are ready to be repotted. That is on the menu for tomorrow. Here are just a bunch of different types of flowers. And same here, more flowers. There's calendula, snapdragons, and asters. And then over here we have peppers that have already been potted up. More peppers. We have our sweet potatoes that we're growing sprouts on, and we do have a few little slips. Sorry, we're not growing sprouts, we're growing slips, and we have a few of those growing. Here are some more peppers that are ready to be potted up, and a couple that look pretty sad right here. Those died. I'm not going to worry about potting those up. And more peppers that have already been potted up. That is all I have in the seed starting station right now. And I'm going to try and not fill it up anymore because once those tomatoes are ready to be up potted, they're going to fill up most of this area. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I started my seeds for my garden. I feel like I have shown so much restraint this year and not starting my seeds until mid-May, 6 weeks before my average last frost date. I am so excited for that date to come and I can get my garden filled with all of these goodies in my seed starting station. But until then, I hope I have encouraged you to start your own garden in your own backyard. If you like these videos, go ahead and hit like and subscribe for me and continue to follow along. And just seriously, in a month and a half time, my garden is going to start to fill up and it's going to start to turn into a jungle.